Direct Connection is made by MPT to serve all of our diverse communities and is made possible by the generous support of our members. Thank you. Live from Maryland Public Television, this is Direct Connection with Jeff Salkin.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for tuning in for Direct Connection. The 2018 session of the Maryland General Assembly has just 5 hours to run before adjournment at midnight tonight. Joining us live tonight from the State House is Governor Larry Hogan. Governor, thank you for being with us. And for starters, what happened this session that you're happy with and maybe that you're unhappy with?
Well, Jeff, I'm really happy overall. I mean, we started this session saying that we wanted to try to work in a bipartisan way to get some common sense solutions to some of the problems facing the state. And for the most part, that happened. We worked very well with presiding officers in both houses. And I just want to thank the delegates and senators from both sides of the aisle. Almost everything we had set out as priorities, we've been able to accomplish this session. And it's by far the most successful legislative session that we've ever had. And one of the most successful sessions in recent memory.
To be honest, I was a little surprised by the sort of lack of heavy-duty partisanship in this session. I'm sure you remember the fourth session of the last Republican governor's administration, and the machine guns were out, as one of the leaders of the legislature said. This could have been more partisan. They could have sent you more veto bait bills, and they didn't. What do you think explains that?
Well, you know, my State of the State at the beginning of the session called on them to not be like Washington, where all you do is argue and fight with one another and nothing ever gets done. And I said, let's try to put aside the politics and work together. We'll have plenty of time for politics after the session. But I said, for 90 days, let's try to work together and actually get things done for the people of Maryland. And for the most part, we really did that. And we got tax relief. We made gains in education. We got school safety. We've got just a little while ago, we passed some really great crime legislation that puts tougher sentences on people that repeat violent offenders, people who commit a crime with a gun, drug dealers, and people who are distributing fentanyl. A lot of progress. I would say this was our most aggressive legislative package. We had 37 pieces of legislation, and about 90% of our priorities got accomplished. And quite frankly, the people in the media, the pundits, most people that follow politics, they said in a legislative session, your last session in the middle of an election year, that we wouldn't get anything done. And I would say it was more successful than the last governor, Martin O'Malley's last session.
Let me remind our
viewers, they're all of the same party.
If you have a question for the governor, call us now. The number's on the screen. You could also tweet your questions. Twitter address is @MPT News. Governor, one of the more interesting debates was on the Amazon bill. So Montgomery County, Maryland, in contention to be the second headquarters location for Amazon. It's a multi-billion-dollar package. It divided legislators thinking that this was potentially a game changer for the state, and those that thought we were giving a lot of money to a really rich company and individual. Why do you think this is a good deal?
Well, first of all, we're not giving any taxpayer money to a rich company. It's basically their own money that we would allow them to keep more of if they bring us the Amazon deal, which is going to be responsible for 101,000 jobs and $17 billion a year in economic benefit to the state. If they don't create those jobs and they don't move the headquarters, they don't get the tax breaks. And it's kind of a misnomer to say we're giving billions of dollars in taxpayer money to a rich company. It's basically their own money that we'll let them keep if they invest in our state.
Let's grab a phone call. Prince George's County, this is Chuck. Chuck, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Yes. Hi, Governor.
Hi, how are you?
I've noticed a number of times this year you've mentioned the possibility of treating military retirements as non-taxable under the state income tax code. And I fail to understand why this staunch advocacy, because they now currently have an income deduction that no other retirees enjoy.
Very good. Chuck, let's get an answer. Thank you for the phone call.
Chuck, that's a great question. I've said a number of times that I want to stop taxing all of the retirement income for everyone in Maryland, but we weren't able to get to that point yet. And so with this legislature, I wanted to start with those who put their lives on the line for the rest of us. So we passed fairly wide margins, people in both parties and both houses, tax breaks for retired veterans, and also for our hometown heroes, police officers, firefighters, and first responders. And yes, I want to get to the point where, as a number of other states have, eliminating all taxes on retirement, but this is our first step.
I saw there was a bill approved today that would add a number of seats to the State Board of Education, including 2 teacher positions on that board that would have to come from a list that was submitted by the teachers' unions. Does that get a potential veto?
You know, there are 1,000 bills that are passing today. I've never even heard of that one, Jeff, so that must have just come up today. But certainly we're going to take a look at all these bills. The legislature has had 90 days to get these things done. Most of them are happening today. And, you know, we're focused on the priorities that most people are interested in, most people care about. But we have another 30 days before we look at these 1,000 bills. I haven't read the bill and have never heard a word about it.
Call from Baltimore City. Lewis, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Good evening, Mr. Governor. I have a question. I don't really know how true this is, but it was said on an article on Facebook that you were actually investing $30 million into Baltimore public schools versus the $11 million that it would take into investing in the Baltimore public schools. I just wanted to know, is that true, and why did you make that decision?
Lewis, thank you.
Well, so thank you. We've had record funding for K through 12 education 4 years in a row, including Baltimore City. We put more funding in than the legislature called for and the legislative formulas called for. And currently, Baltimore City is the 3rd highest funded school system in the country. We spend more than 2 times per pupil, more than 2 times what we do in the rest of the state. And we're going to continue to support the schools, but we're also going to try to hold them accountable and make sure that they're doing a great job of educating our kids. And but Baltimore City has always had our support, and they've got more support than anyone else. And we've provided more education funding in Baltimore City than the legislature wanted to.
Caller mentioned Facebook, which has been in the news a bit. Couple issues in the last 90 days concerning Facebook. One is your agreement with the ACLU on not blocking people from the governor's Facebook page. Then the legislature has a bill that would, and I don't know the details, regulate to some degree, require reporting of political ads that are purchased through Facebook. Your thoughts on that?
Well, there's been a lot of concern about Facebook. With respect to the ACLU, they filed a frivolous lawsuit on behalf of 4 people who were blocked from our website for various reasons for violating our Facebook policy, which is very similar to what most elected officials in the country have similar policies. We reinstated all those people a year ago when the ACLU asked us to. Luckily, they agreed to drop this suit because it was a waste of taxpayers' money and resources and a waste of time. And the Attorney General decided to try to settle the suit to get rid of them because it was costing the taxpayers too much money. But really are no major changes in any of the things that we're doing. We're going to continue to stop people from spamming the page or using profanity or death threats or things like that on our Facebook page.
Let's, while we have a minute, talk politics for a second. You're running for re-election. Everybody looks at this race as having 2 big forces at work. One is your popularity. Opposing that is that it's going to be, by all accounts, a big Democratic wave election. Potentially, in your view, what is the 2018 campaign going to be about?
I think it's going to be about whether or not people believe that we've done a good job over the past 4 years. And it's going to be about our record, whether they want to go back to the way things were before we got here or they want to continue to make progress. You know, when I ran for governor, we were our 49th out of 50 states in overall economic performance. And now we're 10th in the nation. We were last place in job creation in the Mid-Atlantic region. Now we're in first place. So I don't even know who the opponent is going to be. We won't know that until June 26th. There are 9 candidates that all seem to be unhappy with the job that we've done, but more than 70% of the people approve of the job that we're doing, and we're just going to keep working hard for the people of Maryland. I understand that there may be more Democrats that turn out this time people are fired up, but we have support of the majority of Democrats in the state. So, it's not going to be of concern to us. We're just going to keep doing everything we've done for 4 years.
Governor Larry Hogan wrapping up his fourth legislative session as governor. Sir, we appreciate your time on a busy night.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Just ahead tonight, how does the session affect your community? We'll be right back.
Got an unused vehicle going nowhere? Donate it to the one place that can take you any place. Visit mpt.org/vehicles and support the programs you love on MPT.
The MPT app puts our programs right at your fingertips, so you can choose when to watch, what to watch, wherever you want to watch it. Download it now.
What happens in Japan and Asia matters to me. With NHK World's newsroom in Tokyo, I get the news live from Japan right at the start of my day.
New ideas come out of Asia all the time. NHK Newsline reports on business, technology, and world events from Tokyo to Bangkok.
Once in the morning gives me a heads up on the competition.
Every hour on the hour, the news I want from Asia.
Watch NHK World now on Comcast Channel 268 and Verizon Channel 480.
Are you turning 70 and a half this year? If so, you generally have to start spending down your retirement account. Even the minimum distribution can place you in a sticky situation. Luckily, you can now use your IRA to make tax-free gifts. Gifts up to $100,000 will never count as income, but always make a difference. That's icing on the cake.
Make your gift for this year before December 31st. Visit mpt.org/support.
This is a box that showed you a world beyond your own. It was just a box, but the world has changed, and so have we. And now the box can be almost any size or shape. And you decide what you want to explore. Anytime, any place. Break out of the box with PBS.
And back live to the State House now, where we're joined by Allan Kittleman, the Republican Howard County Executive, and Chad Gardner, the Democratic Frederick County Executive. Thank you both for being with us. And Ms. Gardner first, and I want to get both of you on this. Were there any issues in particular that you were focused on during this session?
Well, from a standpoint locally, we were focused on strengthening ethics provisions that affect our county and state law. We were successful at getting a local bill passed to accomplish that. We were very focused on school construction. I served on the NOT Commission, and so the NOT bill does really do a number of things to help us have smarter and better processes for school construction, streamlines the approval process, so we know when you save time, you save money. And it provides the alternate financing flexibility and a number of other good things for county governments and local boards of ed. We're also very happy to see progress made on advancing, restoring some highway user revenue to counties and municipalities. That's been an issue we've been talking about for about a decade. And so working together with our partners at the Maryland Municipal League, we were very successful in accomplishing some funding coming back to the counties for that purpose.
Mr. Kittleman.
Yes, I completely agree with County Executive Gardner. She and I both serve on the executive committee for the Maryland Association of Counties. Highway user revenue has been something we've been arguing about for a long time,
that's right.
So it's nice to see some progress on that. For me, I was happy to see a couple of local bills pass. One to provide a transfer tax exemption for some of our teachers when they're first home buyers or buying a subsequent home with somewhat of a deduction from their transfer tax. Also, I might be one of the first ones in the state of Maryland, but we'll have a loan assistance repayment program that we are authorized now to put together. We'll try to do that sometime at the end of this year or early next year to provide some loan assistance for teachers who have student loan payments they had to put in exchange for them agreeing to teach in Howard County for at least 5 years. So those are very positive. I agree with County Executive Gardner. The whole school facilities is a very big improvement for us. We have a lot of redistricting issues in Howard County, a lot of overcrowding, and so getting more construction funds are really important for us in Howard County. But I also would add that the Safe to Learn bill was passed today on the Senate floor. I happen to be there this afternoon to help us with school resource officers and other police coverage for our schools to make sure that our students and our teachers are safe.
Have either of you been doing anything differently in terms of deploying your police force, whatever school security there is, in the wake of what we've seen in southern Maryland and around the country?
Yeah, in Frederick County, we have an independently elected sheriff, but certainly we've been coordinating with law enforcement, our Board of Education, and others who need to really look at this in a strategic way as to what we need to do to make sure our schools are safe. And we have school resource officers in all of our high schools, and we're really looking to make sure we have a police presence and that our police are touching on our middle schools and our elementary schools. So we've also instituted what we call secure vestibules in most of our schools, and we're transitioning to finish the rest of the schools that don't have those secure vestibules so that there's limited access or secured access to our schools. So it is a hot topic. There's a lot of ideas out there that go well beyond that, and it's something that I intend to put together a strategic group of people to really look at that so that we make good choices rather than just having a knee-jerk reaction.
And we're working very closely with our school system as well. We have school resource officers in all 12 high schools. We have 3 school resource officers in some of our middle schools. We're looking to double that to 6 in the middle schools in the upcoming budget. We also have our police officers doing foot patrols through our schools, just kind of making sure they understand the terrain, to make sure they understand school, the administration. I think it's something that's been very welcomed by the school communities as well as the kids and the parents. We also have been investing some more money, just like County Executive Gardner is in Frederick County, to make sure all of our school buildings are secure. Our elementary and middle schools have been secure for a while. Our high schools are tougher because a lot of people go in and out of high schools all the time. But working with our school system, we put another $1.1 million in this year's capital budget that will make sure that all of our high schools also have very secure vestibules, that you got to have a buzz in, you got a camera there, and so we'll make sure that our schools are as safe as possible.
Let me remind our viewers, if you have a question for the county executives, give us a call. We'll have the number up on the screen, or tweet your question to @MPTNews. I want to ask you both about the implementation of the medical marijuana law that was passed years ago, but it's just now showing up in communities with new dispensaries opening up. Now, there was some medical marijuana legislation in this session, but it doesn't directly affect the retail availability going forward. What experiences are you having with that, whether good or bad?
I mean, I can take the first if you'd like. We have at least 3 or 4 medical dispensaries now in Howard County, and the way we decide to look at that is treat them similar to a pharmacy. We did not enact any new zoning laws or amendments to deal specifically with those facilities. If you have to have a prescription and you have to have physicians there, and it's very safe, actually probably more secure than a pharmacy is, that's kind of how we've looked at it in Howard County. And we have some people who express some concerns, but I think so far things have gone pretty smoothly. We don't have a lot of people loitering outside those establishments, and there's not a whole lot of advertising. So I think, and what's also interesting, Jeff, I've visited several of them. When I go inside, most of the people in there are looking like me, and they're old like I am. It's not a young person. It's mostly for people who have medical issues who are getting the marijuana, the cannabis, to help them with their conditions.
I would say we've had a very similar experience. It's still relatively new, but we haven't had a lot of problems. I've talked to law enforcement, and they say they have not experienced a lot of problems either. We did have a bit of a debate about zoning issues in Frederick County, and there were some growers who wanted to have the growing operations in ag zones, and we did not permit that. The county council thought that was not a good idea. Our Farm Bureau opposed that, and they really raised issues of security more than anything else. So I think this is something that's still new, and it's a wait and see, but so far so good.
Coincidentally, both of your counties border Montgomery County. We talked with the governor earlier about the efforts to get Amazon to locate its new second headquarters in Maryland and in Montgomery County, which made the second round of bidding specifically. What's your perspective on that? I mean, if if all of those tens of thousands or 100,000 jobs were plopped into either of your counties, you'd have all sorts of good things, but headaches with, roads and schools and so forth. What are you hoping happens here?
I can tell you, we also put a bid in for Amazon in Howard County. We unfortunately did not make the list, but as soon as I saw the Montgomery County made the list, I contacted our good friend Ike Leggett at Montgomery County and said, I'm now on Team Ike. And I sent a letter. I told him I would send letters in support of whatever I could do to help them, because what's good for our region of Maryland would be great. I think having 50,000 new jobs here in Maryland would be great for everybody. I think you probably have people who work there, live in Frederick County as well as Howard County, and would probably help some businesses in both of our counties. And you talk about the effectiveness on growth, on residential growth, and maybe traffic. I guess that's a problem you want to have. You'd rather have a problem where you have a lot of economic growth instead of having a problem where people don't want to be in your community.
There's a lot of opportunity there, and similar to Howard County, we also reached out to show our support for their application. We do think it's something that is unique, that has an opportunity, and it will certainly spill over and benefit the whole region, including our community. And it won't all happen at once, so we will have time to plan for it. And I always think when you talk about economic development, there's always changes in the economy. So certain things come to the end of their life cycle, and other things and other kinds of jobs come into place to replace them. And so we have to stay nimble and stay ready to take advantage of our opportunities when they present themselves.
Let's take a call from Howard County. This is Tina. Tina, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. I hope that my question is not past the time it's needed to be asked, but I'm wondering whether in Howard County the charge that what is charged for new development will be raised as it is in Montgomery County. It's my understanding from County Council candidate Hurry Hagdu that basically Howard County charges about $5, whereas Montgomery County charges approximately 20, or perhaps that's in the thousands. I'm not really sure, but basically that would be a way to fund public education rather than raising taxes. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the question. Both of your counties are seeing a lot of growth.
Right. Jeff, I appreciate the call, Tina, and the question. And in Howard County, I put together an adequate public facilities ordinance task force once I got elected as one of the things. We haven't looked at our APFO for about 15 years. And one of the recommendations they had was for a plan to increase some of the fees that the developers would be paying. Actually, in Howard County, we are at the max what the state allows us to be. And so we can't do any higher fees unless the state delegation and the state legislature approve that. They had legislation in front of them this year that would have allowed them to do that. They have decided, and that's fine, they've decided because of our ABFO legislation not taking effect, the new one we just passed, until July of 2019, the legislature decided to not act on it this year, and they can maybe act next legislative session. So I support looking at that. I also think it's important that we have other kind of fees inside of our fees that some other jurisdictions might not have. Moderate income housing units are required in Howard County. Some other jurisdictions might not have some of those things. But I'm certainly willing to look at that. And Tina, I appreciate your question.
Let me ask about your local budget situations there. It's complicated, but the new federal tax law largely will save most people money, not everybody. But the impact on state taxpayers as a result of what the feds did is a number of people are going to see their taxes going up. The state's going to deal with that to some degree. But I would guess that both counties would expect to see more money coming out of this. Am I right?
Well, yes and no. There's a lot of uncertainty about how much that money might be, so I am not budgeting and anticipating spending any projected windfall because we really don't know what it is. So I feel uncomfortable spending money before I know, before I have it in hand. And so we are certainly projecting an increase in income tax revenue because the economy is doing much better and incomes are going up. But we are not planning to a bump up from the potential tax windfall. We're in a wait-and-see mode.
With us, we actually had a reduction in the increase of income taxes this year because Howard County, right now, we're the second wealthiest county in the country. And because of that, I think we have a lot of high wage earners who are holding back on some of their decisions to wait to see what would happen with the federal tax reform. And so we were advised by the state and others that that's probably the reason why our income tax is not going up. Our revenue hasn't gone up as much as we thought it might. Now, we might get more next year because of now the tax reform. So we're going to wait and see. We're doing something similar to County Executive Gardner. We know that we could have some of a windfall because of that, but we're not going to take advantage of all that right now because we don't know for sure. But one thing I will say is, and this goes to what the governor and the legislature have been working on, I think they've been working very well in a bipartisan manner for most of the session on most issues. A couple times, maybe not, but I thought it was interesting that I heard the governor say either today or yesterday how it's nice to have a legislature talk about not raising people's taxes, but actually both the Democrats and Republicans talking about how we can reduce taxes. And I appreciate the fact that the Senate President, the Speaker of the House, and the other members of the legislature were working with the governor as best we could to try to figure out a way we could do that together. And we really are different than what they're doing in Washington, D.C., and it's refreshing to see as a former state senator.
Allan Kittleman is the county executive for Howard County. Jan Gardner, the county executive for Frederick County. In Annapolis for Sine Die and the end of the legislature. Glad you could join us tonight.
Great to be with you.
Thanks
so
for
much.
Us.
Coming up Thursday at this time on Your Money and Business, the potential impact of a trade war on Maryland farmers and the expanding role of Maryland's LGBT Chamber of Commerce. Join us for that Thursday at 7 o'clock. Now, for all of us here at MPT, I'm Jeff Salkin. Thanks for watching Direct Connection, and have a good night.
This program was made by MPT to serve all of our diverse communities.